Hearts of Iron 4. I know I'm doing a Netherlands Let's Play currently for fun, so I figured I would experiment with the other country that received a drastic overhaul to their focus tree, Mexico. Messed around with them a little bit, but I decided I wanted to play with them again. I figured I'd do a stream. Don't know how much effort I'm going to put into this or whether it will be continued. But anyhow, this is to explore Mexico a bit more. Specifically, I'd like to figure out how you put Trotsky in power, but I don't actually know how you do that. All I know is you have to go communist. So, probably going to be mostly silent unless people show up or want to talk. So, here we go. Also should point out the fact that I did essentially random world. I didn't give specific orders to follow historical paths, so I'm going to take a glance around, see what paths people have decided to follow. So the US is going to go, looks like historical. I don't know what France is doing. Germany is going to stay with Hitler, which means there will be World War II. We don't know what the UK is doing specifically yet. Italy's doing the same stuff. Hungary is going fascist. Oh yes, Netherlands, that's the other one to look at. What are they doing? Foreign colonial investments, that looks pretty good. And the last and somewhat more important, looks like Japan is going to recreate the shogunate rather than other stuff. Yeah, well, historically the Dutch were a powerful nation at this time, whereas Mexico had just survived a revolution, so it makes some sense. So it looks like there won't be as much of a war in China, which could be rather interesting. Other than that, everything else looks to be going normal. The question will be if the UK decides to decolonize or not. Ideally, the achievement I'd like to do, if I can pull up the achievements here, would be to where is it? As Mexico put Trotsky in power and puppet the Soviet Union, new home of the revolution. Of course, I have no idea how to get Trotsky in power, so this is going to be interesting. As far as I'm aware, I want to suppress, I want to exile Kala's, purge the bureaucracy, and arrest the general, I believe. We'll see how this goes. Okay, there we go. Exile him. And then we'll see how this goes. My Dutch game isn't going as well as I'd like, so I figured I'd wander into a different Hearts of Iron and try and rebuild some confidence. So we'll see how this works out. We really need a functioning industry. It's amazing how backwards Mexico starts out in this game. First off, we have no oil, because the oil we have is owned by the... let's see, how do we... It's owned by other people, which is annoying. America owns some, the British owns quite a bit as well, so we can't actually get that oil until we kick them out, which is going to be quite some time. There. The risk, of course, we face is first off a rebellion, and then the second Mexican Revolution. Of course, there's also the Second Cristero War as well. Religious insurrection, atheist insurrection, and I still have no idea how to put Trotsky in power. I can tell you one thing we're not going to do, which is cause more trouble for the government right now. So there's this whole struggle in Mexico between the communists and the Catholic Church. And that actually somehow affects the way the events will play out later. I don't exactly know how to do it. I'm going to assume Trotsky was atheist, so we'll be prosecuting the Catholic Church to some degree. And we will not be completing, there's one specific focus we will not be doing, which is the anti-disestablishmentarianism. Somebody at Paradox came across that word and really wanted to stick it in there, didn't they? We will not be messing around too much with that. So one of the things we're going to be trying to get to is to some type of communist boosting support, I think, as soon as we can. So I don't know if the Confederation of Workers is what we want to do or not. Yeah. We're going to be atheists, so oppose the Catholic Church. Of course, that has a very good chance of starting a civil war. Whether or not a civil war happens, if we can avoid it, the better. Naval treaty. I don't know what Manchunko's doing. I was hoping they'd try and recreate China. That's always fun to watch. I don't know what Mao is doing. Interestingly, France is focusing on a navy. Okay, so we got steady as she goes, which means the British are gonna go for stability, which is gonna be interesting. Doesn't look like they're gonna dissolve their empire, which will be fun. No, I'm playing random, although outside of Japan, everybody else seems to have gone their historical focuses, which is interesting. The reason I didn't do the historical focuses is that I like to have a chance of maybe trying to take out the US before they become unkillable, but we'll see. I think I'm going to struggle with that a bit. I have no idea how it really is Mexico. You're supposed to beat the US, so this will be amusing. The big thing I want to do is I want to put Trotsky in charge. But how I do that, I'm not entirely sure. Stalin's purging the Trotskyite supporters already, so Trotsky will not be taking over the Soviet Union anytime soon, is what that means. Yeah, I just did the historical nations for the Dutch stuff, of which I recorded a lot today, and so I'm a little tired of the historical approach. Unfortunately, if I want to do Iron Man, I can't change what they're doing. Otherwise, I'd have Hungary try and form Austria-Hungary, have the UK go for, global dominance, stuff like that would be fun. But instead, we'll just get to see what happens in Mexico. So one of the big things we're doing is we're going to try and arrest this general to get rid of this stability penalty, which should help quite a bit. And then we'll work more on trying to stop any Catholic revolts, which may be easier than said than done. But considering I'm sitting here petting a large cat that's sitting on my lap, I'm starting to feel like a Bond villain. So, conquering the world might be a fun goal. So yeah, I'm devoting 100 political power to this improved worker conditions. Even though it does decrease my production, the stability, there's a couple Mexican events, as far as I can tell, that are associated with stability. So if I can get up to about 60 stability, some of these revolutions and wars won't fire, which will be interesting. The key is I don't pass any of the communist stuff too early. So considering if we want the communists in charge, we need to get to at least Confederation of Mexican Workers. So I'm going to do a slight detour to that. Probably do rent freeze as well, get that stability, and we'll see where we're at that point. Controlling the army can net us another 5%. So we do have some options to restabilize things. We do want to avoid this institutional revolution, though. And going down 2 red shirts too quickly, because if we do that, that triggers the ability to have a civil war. The tricky part is juggling this atheist state issue with the Catholic Church. So right now we've made them an atheist state, but they can easily come back through events and occurrences. So we have to keep an eye on that. I think I can get to about 50 some odd stability without getting in much trouble. Here we go. Trotsky arrives. We want to invite him to join the government. He's an organizational genius. So how do we put him in the army? And first off, where do we put him? There we go. So 75. We need 75. We can put Trotsky in it. He was responsible for creating the Red Army almost from scratch during the Civil War. So this is how we get Trotsky, apparently. You also have to be careful he doesn't get himself killed by the Stalinist agents. That could be slightly a bit of a problem. And we have the Spanish Revolution, or the Spanish Civil War, rather. So this could be... See who wins. I'm hoping in some ways the communists win this time, but we'll see. There we go. Now we can get some more communists going. We're actually going to be getting communism at a fairly good rate with Trotsky, and then if we put this guy in charge for communism supporters. Ambitious union boss, that's what we need. Hello, Shortgun. Nice to see you. I don't know if you've ever been here before. All I know is we need new guns. I speak English, of course. I'm speaking English currently. Well, nice to see you then. I like Hearts of Iron too. I just wish it was a little bit faster of a game. It kind of gets bogged down midway into the game processing all troop movements. So hopefully, maybe we won't see as massive a World War II this time. Anyway, nice to see you. Okay, let's take a glance at what the rest of the world is up to. US has got the Manhattan Project and War Department. UK is researching stuff. France is going with the status quo, so it looks like the Allies are likely to form unless they decide to go their little Entente. Entente? I can never remember how you say that. Other than that, I think Poland is going to form their union. Czechoslovakia has created an immense fort line, which is impressive. So it's looking like China is actually reining in its financial problems a little bit, which would be good. Don't know if Menchunko is going submissive or not. I don't think we'll see too much of a warmongering Japan. China is starting to infiltrate the nationalist China, which makes sense. We are also going to put a captain of industry in charge for now because we're building civilian factories. We can always change that later. Still not really able to train any troops. But we are getting civilian factories, so it's not a total loss. Ah, better gun, just as we were starting to be able to produce the old one. By the way, if any of you guys out there know Hearts of Iron better than I do, by all means let me know better tactics, because I'm not really that good at the game. It looks like the nationalists are going to beat the communists in Spain, which is unfortunate because that means another couple million Spanish troops to deal with at some point. Empire of Japan. Well, I'm sure there'll be lag eventually, average. Unfortunately, Hearts of Iron is a massive game, so enjoy it while it lasts. I am. It's much faster than where I'm at in my Dutch game. Okay, let's see this one. The Firamismam Constantium, Pope Pius X, papal encyclical addressing the Mexican situation. While the Cruzada was resolved at the negotiating table and open bloodshed has been ended, the Church is still worried about the direction Mexico is headed in. The encyclical urges Mexican voters to side with religious candidates in election and calls for Mexican religious parties such as Catholic Action to address social problems such as poverty to prevent more revolutionary violence. I really don't want the church having any power at all. On the other hand, not having a church at all is causing us a fair amount of instability. Okay, let's give the church a little bit of influence and see if that helps. In my Netherlands video, I called Spain Castile. Yeah, I guess I'm so used to trying to keeping that focused over who is who. I keep messing up. Okay, we're going to control the army here. That should prevent any potential civil wars for some time. And hopefully that will work. And if it doesn't, well, at least we're putting enough officers in charge between Trotsky and Abelardo L. Rodriguez that our army should be in pretty good shape. Trotsky's division organization of plus 12 is really good. I'm really starting to realize how actually good that is. It looks like so long as we avoid an atheist state and so long as we avoid a Catholic state, we stop any civil wars until we get over 60 stability. So that's our focus. Which means I'm going to do this to get another 5% so we stay really stable. Hey, US is building the Pentagon. Go US. The Allies are going to form. France is going with Britain. And Poland's going to form their little Baltic alliance that dies in 5 minutes, but hey, at least they're doing something. Also, Italy killed Ethiopia. Sad to say. It's always sad that Ethiopia dies immediately. Try and figure out what to research here. We're not stable enough yet to really go full communist without a civil war, so at least until this reconciliation committee is over, we're going to try and avoid being really communist. I prefer not to fight a civil war if we can avoid it. There's no point. Sorry, the beginning isn't the most entertaining thing in the world with no war, but there's a very little amount going on right now. Although it is interesting to see who is going which direction. I have to say I'm a little bit confused why the collectivist ethos, and then you go nationalism, internationalism, gives you communism or fascism, but the diplomatic tree has nothing along the lines of moving closer to democracy, which is strange. By the way, I'm doing this reconciliation committee first off because it gives me more stability than prosecuting the clergies or assassinating traitors, but also because war support we can gain reasonably quickly. It's much harder to get stability. Okay, Legacy of Revolution done. How many days we got left? 7 days. I think we are actually going to wait 7 days before we take a focus. Instead get some nice free political power out of it. If we wait 7 days, the reconciliation will be done. And that should put us high enough. We're in good shape. Nationalists won in Spain. Darn, we may have to support some communism there. Just so we don't have to fight Spain again. Okay, reconciliation is done. So we're at 65. I should be able to reduce the stability without causing a complete mess. We don't want to do this one, because this guy will become leader of the Communist Party. We want this guy in charge of the Communist Party. Okay, red shirts. I'm wondering when we're actually going to get to train a single unit. Mexico's industry sucks. Honestly, I should probably get rid of this plane stuff and instead shift to infantry, but planes are useful too. I don't know. We should be getting some production once we actually reform our government a little bit. The fact that we get 3 military factories right there will be really useful. Surprised there's not a lot of get free industry focus that all the other countries have. Mexico really doesn't have that. They get a couple. Pact of Rome. Interesting. We get a couple military factories, but that's about it. I guess they are in multiple districts, so we could actually pick up a fair amount. Looks like we are going to avoid a second civil war, which would be great. So even though Spain has already collapsed and become fascist, we should still be able to cause havoc in that region. I'm not sure if we want to do realpolitik and be aggressive, or do we want to try and form like the Hispanic alliance here? Be interesting. It would support the church if we do a Hispanic alliance. I don't think we can actually do it if we're communist. So I guess we'll go this way. and try and smash the bureaucracy. The fourth international one world government. That could be interesting. Form an alliance with Iraq. They're not going to ever get involved in this. They might as well, really, in some ways, Paradox could literally just take out this area of the map with the exception of Egypt, and no one would notice the difference. Nothing happens here. These 4 countries don't get involved in anything unless the Soviets decide to invade Turkey. Oh, we're actually not stable. That's not good. I guess we're a little bit unstable. Let's fix that. Okay, I'll pass this one though. We want to get communism in charge as fast as we can. We're doing pretty good. Plus 0.10 a day. We must be like 59.8 or something. It's frustrating. To be fair, about the Iraq thing, that is one of my biggest complaints about this game, is first off, you've got Bulgaria and Greece and Albania, who were definitely involved in World War II, as Austria was as well. They have nothing. Belgium gets conquered and should have something. But Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, and Turkey all had, I mean, true, they didn't get involved in the major wars, but they weren't just not passive bystanders the entire time. Plus, there should be a way to turn Turkey back into the Ottomans, which would be interesting. Also, some other countries like Mongolia and Menkuko up here, however you say that, should get some interesting focus trees. Same thing, I'm confused why the Dutch East Indies doesn't have a tree, considering the Dutch got one, so we'll see how it all works out. Interestingly, they apparently have decided to curtail the colonial autonomy, so they're trying to integrate the Dutch East Indies, which is going to be very interesting. Huh. I wonder how this will all work. Okay. Pact of Rome has occurred. Okay, that's going to be interesting. So it doesn't look like offhand Italy is going to join the Axis. We might actually see a war between Germany, Austria, and Hungary here. It tends to happen if Germany tries to invade Austria by force. It's going to be very interesting because Hungary is trying to get territory back from Romania, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia, so we'll see what happens. Everyone else is just watching, so... Oh, apparently Stella is watching. Hi Stella. Haven't spoken to you in a while. However, it looks like we're going to see a Japanese-Soviet war, which would be really fascinating. Non-aggression pact with China would be very interesting to see. Huh. I don't think I've ever seen Japan try and fight the Soviets. It'd be a very interesting war. we go. Stable enough, we're going to avoid a second Mexican revolution. So we should be good now to pretty much just go full communist. Shouldn't be any real problems on that front. I can't make British India a fascist country, sorry. I don't even think they can go fascist. First off, because they're a puppet of Britain. And I'm not fascist, so I can't support them. Actually, they can go fascist, can't they? Oh, didn't know that. I can't do anything about it, though. I'm communist right now. Or quickly becoming it. Actually, no, we should be able to move entirely into communism now. So let's put Trotsky in charge of our government. A communist revolution. I can't make the USSR fascist, but I do intend to try and conquer them, which is probably going to be entirely impossible, but maybe if they're weak after fighting the Germans, we might have a shot. Either way, it'd be fun to see if I can conquer the US with Mexico. So my commander of my military, my field marshal, is also my ruler. This is going to be interesting to see who replaces this guy once we kick him out of power. Hey, we actually trained a unit. Nice. Been a long time coming, I'll tell you that. I think we'll wait to get to 250 so that we can get this superior firepower, because that'll be cheaper than researching other doctrines. It's starting to look like the British are not entirely ignoring the German rise to power for once. They're already rearming, which is nice to see. If only they were a little bit further. Also, it looks like France is actually rebuilding their government at a reasonable pace, which is amazing. What are the Dutch up to? R&D stuff. No, they're just building up their economy. Doesn't look like they've formed a new government or anything either, which is unusual. Okay, we have now officially become Communist Mexico. Nice. I guess we do have to do this international struggle, don't we? Okay. We actually have a fair amount of political power, but we're going to save it till we hit 250. Yay, but we do have Trotsky in charge. Exiled revolutionary. Subversive activities are 50% cheaper. Ideological defense plus 30. Great. Which means if we want to, boosting party popularity on these guys wouldn't be terribly outrageous. How much do I want to destabilize Spain? Probably quite a lot, to be honest. Let's mess around with Spain a bit. Oh, we're definitely going to try and attack South America. Interestingly, Italy is now leader of Pact of Rome. That's the new feature where different people can be faction leader. No idea how some of these countries are going to go yet, though. We don't know what Romania is doing either. Seems reasonably balanced. We'll at least destabilize Spain a bit. I do find it slightly hilarious that we've managed to put a Russian exile in charge of Mexico. Just kind of funny. Yeah, we'll definitely work towards supporting Spain's loyalists here. I really should stop for a moment, though, and go down like revolutionary women to get some military factories, so we might do that after this. We want to conquer the Soviet Union, so we're probably not going to form an alliance with them unless we form an alliance with them just temporarily. For now, though, I will do a non-aggression pact. And there is, I think there's a communist country down here. There's fascists in Venezuela. Okay, which one of these is communist? That's fascist. It's non-aligned. Really? I thought there was a... Oh, these guys are communist. Paraguay. Everyone else is communist. Is democratic or fascist. I need another research slot going soon. Next easy one I think is state education here. Well, we'll see. Add in women's suffrage. That might be worth doing. It will unbalance us a little bit, but we've got so much pushing communism right now, I think we can push democracy a little bit. Oh yeah, I've completely forgotten to check what Britain's colonies are doing. Doesn't look like they've decided to leave or stay Canada. What's South Africa up to? Not clear what they're doing. Doesn't look like they're going communist or fascist. Okay, new national focus. Let's go for some rural schools. We need some More research slots. Oh, nope, that's not what we want to do. We want to swap, actually. Reactionary women. Wait, I can't stop. How do I stop? Cancel. Lose 4 days, but it's not the worst thing. Do this, get a couple more civilian factories, which should help a lot. Can't get this guy just yet. We have to research another thing, so I suppose I could spend this elsewhere. Social reformer would actually get us stability. Interesting. So Max, nice to see you first off. If you oh, that's annoying. Huge huge political power loss. We are the American Soviet Republic. So what we did was when the event pops up for Mexico, what do you want to do with Trotsky? You have an option to send him back to Stalin, let him stay in exile, or put him in your government. And we appointed him as our chief of army staff. And then once you switch to communism, he takes over. That's how I did it. Pretty awesome. He's not particularly a great leader, but he's not bad. Subversive activities cheaper is really nice. Which is what we're doing to Spain. We're trying to destabilize it a bit. Could probably try and destabilize somebody else, but we don't actually have great political power income. Poland's Baltic alliance has started. I think Japan is getting reasonably close towards attacking the Soviets. Still don't know what Manchukuo is going. Australia seems to be... I don't actually know what they're doing. I think they're staying with Westminster so far. And New Zealand, I have no idea what New Zealand's doing. Hey, we have another soldier on the field, finally. Meanwhile, the US is massively out-arming us. They're doing really well, surprisingly. I will point out it's 1938, but we're giving the women more rights than anywhere else in the world, I believe, at this point. Yeah, women don't even have the right to vote in the US, but we're already going to give them equal pay for equal work and suffrage, which will be impressive for such early in the game. No problem, Max. The Netherlands are certainly interesting. I'm getting to explore a lot of the new mechanics. Plus, I'm learning more about their history. About British communism? The British aren't having any communism at the moment. They've gone with democracy. We will do women's suffrage, but we're first going to get some more military factories. We're up to 9 civilian factories, which is nice. One thing we definitely need to do, though, is we need to start rebuilding our war support, because we're pretty low at the moment. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do there. We've also almost finally built our fuel up to our full reserves. We still haven't altered our economy. I should probably do that, actually. We need war support. I suppose I could go, like, limited exports or something. Oh no, I guess I have to have better mobilization first. So switching to communism actually hasn't given me much at all. That's annoying. Other than the fact that Mexico's focus tree definitely supports communism more than it does democracy. It's a little odd. It has virtually nothing for fascism at all. Oops, Italy is expanding into Albania. And what's Germany up to? We don't know. Okay. That means I definitely need to get more encryption going. On the other hand, France has stabilized their government quite a bit. They're decades away, it seems, from army reform, but pretty good shape. It's interesting that it doesn't look like Poland got any allies. Normally, yep, Poland got no allies. Instead, they're invading Lithuania. Oops. I didn't see that one coming, but I guess it makes sense, Poland conquering that region. Surprised they even got claims on their lands. How'd they pull that one off? Huh, I guess they just fabricated claims and declared war. Interesting. Yeah, I'll build defenses on the border of the US once we actually get an economy going. We're really far behind. Hopefully the US doesn't attack us before then. I am going to wander over to China for a bit here and see what they're up to, because without a war with Japan, I'm pretty sure that basic China is going to become massive. Oh, Marxism with Chinese stuff. Okay, mutual assistant bloc. So Mao is going to stay in charge of communist China. That guys are already communist. Other than that, it looks like everybody else is stable, although there's going to be a power struggle here between these two. So we could see China disappear into that clique down there, which would be interesting to see. And women's suffrage. Unfortunately, this does mean that the church is going to get a little power, but we're going to repress them later anyhow, so. Oh yeah, the Soviet Union are definitely going to attack Poland. I'm not getting involved in Europe for quite some time. I've got to subdue North and South America if possible first. And, you know, it's the US, so it's going to be really hard even if we do pull it off. They get so many free factories, it is ridiculous once they get going. They have approximately somewhere between 159 and 200 civilian factories. That might be a bit off. We definitely need decryption. We are falling way behind in the spy war. Poland's on the rise, taking out Lithuania. Interesting. Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth has been formed, in case anyone's curious. I didn't know that was a possibility. I've never really played Poland except to beat Germany once. Well done, well done. Maybe they'll get the Baltic Alliance. Not that it will make much difference. Also, we have 17% communism in Spain right now, and that's only going up. So, slightly destabilizing Spain. Hey, another member of our military has joined the fray. I love how even with a disarmed nation, the US still has a ton of troops. So much for not being a militarized nation. Yugoslavia is not going communist. The question is, are they going to go fascist or democratic? I hope they go democratic, but we'll see. So it looks like these guys, as usual, are going communist. So that will actually be a fair amount of communists inside China. And these guys are actually going to be able to attack people if they want. Nothing going on in China itself, though. Ah, darn, Manchukuo is going obedient. I was hoping they'd go non-obedient. Be more interesting if they did. Okay, in Mexico, women have the right to vote. Aren't we nice? Okay, how do we want to do this? I need the research slot, so let's go for infrastructure, work our way south. Oh yeah, I'll definitely do a coup in Spain once we actually get enough support there. There's no point in launching a coup when we have no one supporting it. Really wish I knew what Germany is up to. Greater Yugoslavia. That is... doesn't necessarily mean they're going fascist, but certainly an indication. Soviets are doing their normal build path as well, it looks like. Curious as to what France is up to. They're going pretty hard for stability and defense, which is usually a good sign. Oh yeah, I forgot to check. What are the Dutch up to? The Dutch are working on a fleet. Okay. Did they go for that one? It's tough to say. The Dutch are certainly building taller than I would play them. Still have their disjointed government, which is really stupid. They're not even getting political power. What is that? Really? That's like negative 80.8. They must have no government reforms. Oh, Canada is asking to leave. Whoa. That is unexpected. It's good for me, because they usually go communist, but still unexpected. Oh, nope, they're going fascist. Swastika clubs in Canada. Oh no. Why couldn't you have gone communist? Ugh. No idea what's going on there. Right now, I want to save political power. I will once I get my country in order. There's no real point in doing it too early. We still have several more things we want to do before we swap completely to fomenting rebellions. The fact I'm doing it in Spain alone should be good for now. The part of the reason I'm doing it is we know that they will be pretty much out of it all for a while. Unfortunately, they're doing fascist support of their own, so I don't think I can beat them. But at least we can make them less stable. We're not going to actually be able to destabilize Spain. That's annoying. Okay. Cancel boost popularity. Could work on Germany, but I don't know if that would be worth it. See, I want France to stay in the Allies because it's the only way Germany actually has any challenge. I don't want to work on the US. I don't think we can destabilize the fascist. Yeah, point 2, they're going to be fascist. These guys are staying with the British. I could work on someone like Brazil or Portugal. It's annoying, they got all these bonuses towards stability. Honestly, working on the Germany might be my best move. They have a little bit of fascist left. We'll work on Germany for now. We can't do much else. Still producing civilian factories. It's still really slow. Can't even get to early mobilization because we have so little war support. Maybe I should start working on war support. No one attacked Poland. Poland's at peace, but he's starting to yeah. I don't know if he'll actually declare war on these guys if they're if they control it, or whether or not. Memel will be an interesting, whether that will trigger World War II or not. Interesting. It'd be very interesting if, as Trotsky, I joined Stalin while controlling Mexico. That would be strange. Especially after he just purged all my supporters. I'm going to shift my defenders, though, up to the American border, even though that's not a huge problem. We'll just make sure that we do have some troops on the border now, as the world creeps closer to war. There we go, another research slot. Let's do military budget. Then we can do this heroic college. Get that other theorist in charge, and then we'll work over here. Probably get another research out slot, and then we'll figure out what we're doing. Okay, Japan's gonna make peace with China. That'll be some good news. Join the Chinese Soviet. Oh, interesting. I don't think that will change much. But there could be a war here between the Chinese Soviet and Sikyong here. That would be an interesting fight. I don't think these guys have anything along those lines. No, they really don't. It doesn't look like Hitler has decided to attack Poland. So that is part of a potential fight averted for the moment. Of course, I say that and I'll probably attack immediately. But at least that's stable. Baltic Alliance. Poland is... We gotta remember, Poland is not overwhelmingly weak at the beginning of the game. They're just behind in factories, which is usually what kills them. Intervention in Asia. This is interesting. The US is moving towards intervening against Japan, I guess, which, considering it's not a warmongery Japan, that's a very interesting choice. Yeah, it looks like there's going to be a fight between the communist Chinas. I've got 10 there and 10 to 16, and these guys have 14 to 15. This could be big if the Soviet decides to help them. Soviet tribute. Huh. Be very interesting. I've never seen that occur. Australia and New Zealand still haven't made up their mind where they're going. All we know is that South Africa seems to be staying in the Empire. And let's see, what are the Dutch up to? Forming a new government. Hey, the Dutch have finally kicked out their old guy. Good for the Dutch. They put a defeatist in charge. At least he's not as backwards as the other guy was. Well, if you're still there, Max, the Dutch are doing pretty good. They're reforming their government. They're still shell-shocked of the Great War, but they're not doing too bad. Spain is... sorry, not Spain. France seems to be going down, getting more fort, which is a good move for them. I think they currently still outnumber, or yeah, I think they outnumber Germany in terms of troops. Way behind in both factories and reserves, but Bulgaria might join the Pact of Rome, which is surprisingly doing well. Well, this is something I haven't seen. Army expansion program was still at peace, so expanding our armed forces will be unpopular, so we'd receive a penalty towards it. It's interesting. I don't think any other country receives a huge stability penalty, other than maybe the US. Ah yes, the Munich Agreement. That's not good. So Czechoslovakia surrendered because everybody else ditched them. Great. On the other hand, France is fortifying the Alps against Italy, so maybe that'll help. Also doing Pact of Steel, so I don't know if that means they join the Germany or Germany just becomes friends with them. Be interesting if Germany joined the Pact of Steel. Be very interesting. Gotta focus a little bit more into construction, just so we can actually get an economy moving. Looks like Communist China eliminated Sikan under, well, they became united under a new government here. Shin Shikai took over. So it means they get to go down this whole thing of do we want Mao in charge again or not? It's going to be interesting. Anyhow, that removes the current Soviets from the game. Oh, sorry, not Soviets, Communist China, which is interesting. It's currently a struggle for the dominance in China, and then the communists have fallen. It's turning into quite an interesting China, despite no war. See, part of this thing is the Austria, it was bypassed, which is very interesting. Because Austria joined the Pact of Iron, Germany's not going to annex them, which is very interesting, because that does definitely weaken Germany. Austria's not a terrible country to take over. on the other hand, we're up to 22% fascism in Germany. So it's that. In fact, they've in fact appointed Goebbels just to oppose us trying to take over their country. Which means trying to convert Germany to fascism has also just become entirely, communism has become entirely pointless. Even though they are gaining power, they'll never succeed. I'd probably be better off trying to influence the countries in South America, honestly. Or even someone like Belgium. Well, let's pick a non-aligned nation that I might be able to manipulate and work on them, maybe. No, if they're going to join my faction, I probably don't need to. Or maybe I should, I don't know. I should at least try and work on Venezuela a bit, since they're vulnerable. It's a little bit annoying that the AIs have been reprogrammed to actually resist being converted away from their ideology. It could work on the US, but we want to conquer the US anyhow. It's a little awkward that we're supporting the Spanish loyalists, considering Spain got kicked out of that area. It's weird. Anyhow, let's work on the Bolivaran alliance. Even if we don't get a ton of allies, it will force communism into the area, which should help. Right now, communism has fallen because democracy is on the rise, but it should balance itself out fairly well. Boy, Canada is racing down, becoming fascist as fast as they can. I don't know if Poland will manage to survive, though. That's the issue against Germany. They do have a couple little allies, but they're entirely useless. I assume, yeah, Norway, Denmark, Sweden all went democratic. As pretty much usual. We should be able to support... Oh, I thought we had support the Spanish left. I guess because they already lost the war, there's no point in trying to do that. Makes sense. Can't support a country that doesn't exist. At least till we rebuild it. See, once we get this going, we can start going down march southwards to conquer South America if they don't join us, which they probably won't. In some ways I hope they don't, so we can take them over. We can now move to reform our industry a little bit, which will be useful. We definitely need to. Oh, what do we have here? We have a war. The Pact of Rome versus Greece and Romania. Well, that's going to go in favor of Hungary, and Germany is picking a fight with Poland without Italy as part of their allies. I think we'll probably go for another 19 or so minutes, get it to the top of the hour, and then we'll probably stop. Probably going to do another stream tomorrow. Not of this, though. That'll probably be Europa. Whether or not it's multiplayer or not, haven't made up my mind. Probably not, though. But that should be fun. We are influencing this guy a little bit, which is nice. Unfortunately, everybody who goes fascist gets all these bonuses to keep them fascist. Luckily, we're going to be getting some communist stuff. Also, in case anyone's wondering why it's whenever they talk about there's this people they're calling the Yankee here, they're actually saying Yankee. It's just apparently that's how you spell it if you're in Mexico, Yankee. Okay, we've got one ally. So progress has started. Apparently we can invite Brazil, which would be interesting. Let's stabilize the country a little bit more, I think. As it is, these guys are going to have to deal with communism support for a while, so... It'd be nice if we could, like, trick some of these guys into joining us, but... It would be very expensive. Interesting that we don't actually try to influence Brazil. And also, can we point out the fact that this is like a solid wall of all of this? Apparently, if we just improve opinions, they'll join us, which is interesting. Let's try that. Improve opinion. If we get it to 50, they'll join us. At least we're starting to catch up in tech, even if we haven't touched planes or anything along those lines. We should be able to potentially invite these guys now, actually. They've agreed to join, so okay, that's what I do. I just go through and improve relations with all of these guys, and they should all fall into line. Maybe. That guy was non-aligned. Maybe I should focus on the unaligned first. After all, I do need to conquer land myself. Poland ceded Danzig, so they avoided a war. Interesting. What's going on here? Argentina is almost going to take over my alliance. Can't allow that. Okay. At least our production of weapons is increasing, so that's good news. I have to say I'm impressed that Poland ceded provinces to Germany without actually starting a war, because that actually does slow down the World War II. Plus it means until the Soviets attack, Poland should survive. Here's the interesting thing though. Germany's fabricating its Luxembourg and Belgium. Unity through democracy, okay. So we know the Dutch are going democratic. I guess that's a smart move. Ugh, they're gonna get annihilated though. Good luck, Dutch. Good luck, Belgium. You're in a lot of trouble. Also, France has not extended the Maginot Line enough to actually survive. So they're probably gonna die too. Okay. What do you want to shout out, Joe Joppy? It's nice to see you. I mean, my shout out for you would not be worth much. I'm not that a popular channel, unfortunately, but I'm sure there's a couple people who check your stuff out. Okay, we've got Bolivia on our side now. That's 3 people. Who else can we pull in? These guys are fascist? What? Well, these guys are definitely boost political party. There we go. World War II has started in Europe. Now the question is, does the alliance with Italy force Italy to join Germany, or does it just make them friends? It just makes them friends, so that's possible good news. Looks like Romania is losing, as is Greece. See, here's the thing though, Germany on its own, I don't know if Germany on its own is going to be able to beat France. This could be interesting. It's interesting the US doesn't have a enforce their ideology thing on these guys anymore. I thought they did. I should also get another research slot here, which will be nice. And maybe we can even get some more production going. At some point we'll be able to reform our oil fields and actually have oil. If France isn't careful here, they may fall to communism. Be very interesting. Also, the Dutch are involved in this war now. It's not going too well for the Allies. I don't want to get too many of the factions in South America into my alliance if I'm going to try and conquer them. I mean, I suppose I could kick them out and then conquer them after, but it seems a bit mean. And a bit pointless. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. Ooh, if we're not careful, we could lose faction leadership. Not that that would be the worst thing in the world, but it would still be annoying. Especially if we lost it to this guy, of all people. To be fair, he has a better manufacturing complex and army than we do, so wouldn't be too big of a surprise, honestly. Just creating combat with 20 battalions, so 7 infantry and 2 artillery. It's the standard one. So Australia is going to stay in the British Commonwealth. Interesting. Well, it appears that the Dutch forts that they have, or 1 or 2 they have, I don't think they've flooded their landscape. So it appears the Dutch are holding off the Germans. Belgium is struggling a little bit. France has gone communist, by the way. But they've reformed their army and extended their defensive lines. So France may not fall too easily. Plus, there's a potential ally later on. Although they're significantly stronger than I am. But still, another communist nation in Europe, if they survive against Germany, would be very useful. I suppose I could send some volunteers. I also don't really want to be involved in a European army fight. On the other hand, communist France might be useful. I don't know. Anyhow, that's probably going to have to wait till I stream this again, if I stream this again. Because I've got to get off in a minute. So, thank you guys all for watching this. It is a fun new expansion as Mexico. Looks like there's interesting war going on here. Over leadership, I guess. I'm going to go out on a limb and say China is going to win that fight, but Communist China has been brought under control of something of Soviets. Yeah. Interesting. Anyhow, that will be it from me for this stream. Thank you guys all for watching this much, and check out how the Netherlands game is going, and there'll probably be a stream tomorrow of Europa, so I'll put up details of that. as soon as I know when. Bye for now.